talkers, and this is News Recap. No fluff, straight to the point. James Comey indicted on 2 counts days after Trump call. Delegates walk out right before Netanyahu's speech at the UN. ICE officer relieved after pushing a woman at New York court. Dallas police arrested 118 people wanted on active warrants for sexual offenses. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu gave a strong speech at the United Nations on Friday, defending Israel's war on Gaza and confirming strikes in Iran's nuclear sites. Before he spoke, many delegates walked out in protest. The address was also broadcast on loudspeakers along the Gaza border, part of what his office called a public diplomacy effort.
The final elements, the final remnants of Hamas are holed up in Gaza City. They vow to repeat the atrocities of October 7th again and again and again, no matter how diminished their forces. That is why Israel must finish the job. That is why we want to do so as fast as possible.
The war shows no signs of slowing, with international calls for a ceasefire growing louder. Netanyahu is set to meet on Monday with President Trump, who says negotiators are very close to a deal to end the war and return hostages. Meanwhile, a senior Hamas official defended the October 7th attack as a golden moment for the Palestinian cause. In the meantime, Microsoft has cut some services to a unit in Israel's defense ministry. The move comes after claims that the unit was using Microsoft's cloud to spy on Palestinians. The company looked at an August report from The Guardian. It said an Israeli intelligence unit stored recordings of Palestinian phone calls using Microsoft's Azure cloud. Microsoft President Brad Smith said the review confirmed parts of the report, but he didn't give full details. Microsoft has blocked the unit from using some cloud services. Smith stressed that Microsoft does not allow its tools to be used for mass surveillance anywhere. Israel's defense ministry had no comment. Activist groups praised Microsoft's move, but said most of its work with Israel's military is still going on. Officials on Thursday offered the first clear hint at a possible motive in the Dallas ICE facility shooting, saying the gunman hated the U.S. government and aimed to terrorize federal agents. One detainee was killed and 2 others seriously injured. Authorities identified the shooter as 29-year-old Joshua John. During a search at his home, investigators found a rifle and notes which included a game plan of the attack and target areas of the facility.
He called the ICE employees people showing up to collect a dirty paycheck. He wrote that he intended to maximize lethality against ICE personnel and to maximize property damage at the facility. He hoped to minimize any collateral damage or injury to the detainees and any other innocent people. It seems that he did not intend to kill the detainees or harm them. It's clear from these notes that he was targeting ICE agents and ICE personnel.
The FBI says John appears to have acted alone. Agents are still reviewing electronic evidence as prosecutors continue the investigation. A federal immigration officer in New York City has been temporarily relieved of duties after videos showed him pushing a woman to the ground outside an immigration court. The Department of Homeland Security called the officer's actions unacceptable and said a full investigation is underway. Videos show the woman and her young daughter trying to hold on to her husband as agents attempted to take him into custody. The officer grabbed the woman's hair and pushed her to the floor in front of her children and a crowd of journalists. The man was detained. The family is from Ecuador, and critics say the incident highlights the risk of ICE arrests at immigration courts, and city officials say the woman posed no threat. A former ICE official called the officer's actions assault and said there was no justification for the use of force. Former FBI Director James Comey was indicted on Thursday, just days after President Trump publicly called on the Justice Department to prosecute him and other political opponents. Comey faces 2 charges, lying to Congress and obstructing a congressional proceeding. The case comes from his September 2020 testimony about the FBI's investigation into possible ties between Trump's presidential campaign and Russia. During the hearing, Comey said he did not authorize leaks of FBI information. Prosecutors claim he did, allowing his deputy Andrew McCabe to share some details with the press. The statute of limitations was about to expire, and Comey could face up to 5 years in prison if convicted. Trump celebrated the indictment on social media, calling Comey one of the worst human beings this country has ever seen. Comey denied wrongdoing in a video, saying he trusts the courts and is innocent. The case is now handled by U.S. Attorney Lindsay Halligan, a former Trump lawyer. Critics say the charges raise questions about political influence and the Justice Department's independence. Comey's arraignment is set for October 9th in Virginia. President Donald Trump signed an executive order on Thursday to keep TikTok running in the U.S., calling it a way to address national security concerns while letting the app operate. Trump has repeatedly extended deadlines to keep the app alive while a sale is worked out. A law passed last year required China's ByteDance to sell TikTok's U.S. assets or face a ban. Vice President J.D. Vance said American investors will control TikTok's algorithm, which decides what users see and will protect user data.
If I could make it 100% MAGA, I would, but it's not going to work out that way, unfortunately. No, everyone's going to be treated fairly. Every group, every philosophy, every policy will be treated very fairly. Thank you.
The deal values TikTok US at $14 billion. Oracle, Silver Lake, Michael Dell, Rupert Murdoch's Fox, and Abu Dhabi's MGX fund will together control about 45%. ByteDance keeps 19.9%. MGX will also get a board seat. Trump said TikTok will be majority owned and controlled by United States persons. The order gives 120 days to finalize the deal. China has not formally approved it, but Trump said he spoke with President Xi, who gave us the go-ahead. President Trump is imposing new tariffs on drugs, trucks, and furniture to protect U.S. manufacturers. Starting October 1st, branded or patented drug imports will face a 100% tariff unless companies build factories in the U.S. Heavy-duty trucks will have a 25% tax, and kitchen and bathroom cabinets a 50% tariff. Trump says the move is needed to stop flooding of foreign products. Some pharmaceutical companies already make drugs in the U.S., which may reduce the impact. The EU and UK have raised concerns, but firms like GlaxoSmithKline and AstraZeneca plan big U.S. investments. Tariffs on trucks and furniture aim to help U.S. companies compete. Critics warn prices could rise for consumers, while supporters say it will boost American manufacturing. Doctors report an immediate reaction to President Trump's Tylenol comments, with parents questioning their children's health choices. After Trump linked acetaminophen use during pregnancy to autism, some mothers worried they had harmed their children, while others asked to delay or skip vaccines altogether. President advised women to avoid Tylenol unless necessary, contradicting medical guidance that limited use during pregnancy is generally considered safe. Physicians nationwide say they're receiving more calls and messages from concerned parents. Some are refusing Tylenol for premature babies or questioning routine vaccinations. Experts warn this misinformation is fueling guilt and could put children at risk. Despite clear guidance from the FDA and other health authorities that occasional acetaminophen is safe in pregnancy, Trump's comments have already influenced parental behavior and shaken trust in standard medical advice. The blackout of Jimmy Kimmel Live is starting to end. Sinclair, one of the major station groups that pulled the show, says Kimmel will return to its ABC affiliates on Friday, including in Washington, D.C., Seattle, and other cities. The other major group, Nexstar, hasn't said if it will bring back the show. Both companies, which together own about 20% of ABC stations, faced criticism for keeping the show off the air. Sinclair says the decision was not influenced by the government. The blackout began after a controversial monologue about the late conservative activist Charlie Kirk. Sinclair wanted ABC to add accountability measures, which the network has not done. Despite the blackout, Kimmel's Tuesday comeback episode drew more than 21 million views on YouTube. The Trump administration is pushing for a major overhaul of the global asylum system. Officials met on Thursday at the UN General Assembly to talk with other countries about cracking down on what they call widespread abuse of asylum rules. Deputy Secretary of State Christopher Landau led discussions with representatives from Kosovo, Bangladesh, Liberia, and Panama. He warned that the system is being strained by false claims and weak cases, which hurt real refugees. Landau also said there is no automatic right to immigrate or get asylum in the country of your choice.
I mean, sometimes we see people who, leave one country and traverse maybe a dozen countries to get to another country, right? And that defies the image of any port, any safe harbor in a storm, right? I mean, that makes it look like this is no longer, trying to avoid imminent injury or death, and it makes it look like it's just a substitute for migration.
The U.S. says asylum should be temporary and people should eventually return home. Panelists agreed that economic migration has been mixed up with real asylum cases. They concluded illegal migration must be addressed to protect the system for those truly in danger. Dallas police arrested 118 people wanted on active warrants for sexual offenses in a major crackdown. The operation, which ran from July 1st through September 23rd, focuses on suspects with active warrants for sexual offenses, including sexual assault, promotion of prostitution, and failure to register as a sex offender. Dallas Police Chief Daniel Como said the effort is part of a broader commitment to public safety and transparency. Assistant Chief Katrina Sheed stressed the impact on survivors, quote, "Know that your safety will always be our top priority." The initiative follows previous efforts like Operation Justice Trail, and officials say similar warrant arrests, including cases involving domestic violence, will continue. Meanwhile, 20-year-old Florida man is facing multiple charges after an investigation in Lauderhill involving child sexual abuse material. Courtney Fisher Jr. was arrested on Wednesday on 10 counts of possession of material depicting child sexual conduct and 1 count of computer pornography involving a minor, according to Lauderhill police. The case began in April when the South Florida Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force received tips from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children about potential child pornography. Investigators identified files showing children as young as 3 years old involved in sexual acts. Search warrants executed on Wednesday at Fisher's residence uncovered more files, some showing abuse of infants. Fisher was booked into jail and appeared in court on Thursday, where a judge set bond at $80,000. He was ordered to have no contact with minors and no internet-connected devices. An Arizona jury has found Cleophus Cooksey Jr. guilty of 8 murders in a series of shootings across Phoenix in 2017. 43-year-old Cooksey was also convicted of kidnapping, sexual assault, and armed robbery. Sentencing starts on Monday, and prosecutors are seeking the death penalty. The victims included Cooksey's mother and stepfather, a security guard, and a woman found sexually assaulted in an alley. Authorities say Cooksey knew some victims, but not all of them. Cooksey denied the crimes and looked down as the verdict was read. The shootings happened just 4 months after Cooksey was released from prison for a 2001 manslaughter conviction in a strip club robbery where someone was killed. Unlike earlier serial shooting cases in Phoenix, which lasted months and caused widespread fear, these murders happened in just 3 weeks and were largely unknown until Cooksey was arrested. The rats have won, for now. New York City first ever rat czar has stepped down, leaving the city's fight against rodents in question. Kathleen Karate, who earned $176,000 a year, Tackling the city's rat problem left voluntarily, Mayor Eric Adams praised her work, saying she handled the tough job with confidence and creativity. Karate launched programs like contraceptive baiting, public rat walks, and designated rat mitigation zones. The city also rolled out stricter trash policies and empire bins to limit rodent food sources. City officials say Karate's programs will continue in some form, but the future of the position remains uncertain. And that is all for now. The top stories of the day, no fluff, straight to the point. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and drop a comment. I'm Kat Pakras, and I'll see you next time.